Hey, my name's James Nicholson and welcome to my property channel. Now, this channel is all about investing in property, and today I'm going to talk about is now, as in 2022, a good time to buy as a property investor. So stick around, you won't believe what I'm going to tell you in this video, and I'll share some great insights into what I think. Now, as I said, we're a property investment channel and we're on a journey, and I want you to join us on your property investment journey. I'm building my portfolio. Come and join us and build yours. And I'm also building a portfolio for my two daughters. I've got Georgia, who's 21. We just bought our first house up in Doncaster. And you can see all of that on this channel. You can see how we purchased at auction. I made a video on that. You can see the refurbishments of that. You can see all the progress on that by checking out the other videos on the channel. And we're currently buying our second deal at the moment. And we're building a portfolio for my new baby, Amelie, who is just one. And so how can you join us on this journey together is take that finger, spin it round, smash that subscribe button over there. Go on, take 2 seconds, smash the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. You don't want to miss out, guys, because I'm sharing all the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, is now a good time to invest? Very good question, right? I'm actually getting asked this a lot, and there's a lot of you that have strong opinions on this in the comments on these videos. So do comment below, let me know what you think. Would you buy property now? Well, yes and no, I would say. Is now a good time to buy? Yes and no. So it really depends on what type of investor on and where you're looking to buy. Now, some areas are very top heavy. The prices have gone up significantly in the last few years. Now, Hastings, I've got investments in Hastings, has always been a slow burner. And because everyone wanted to get out of the cities in COVID, then the house prices went up crazy. And in fact, it was in one of the top 5 areas for house price increases during the pandemic, which was good for me. But I just don't think that that's going to continue, right? There's not much regeneration happening in that town. I think they peaked, right? So if you were to buy it in Hastings now, you're not going to see much capital appreciation over the next few years. Now, London went down slightly. It was very flat in the last few years as well. I still don't think that London's a great area to invest in unless you buy the right deal. But if you're just doing a vanilla buy-to-let, I think you're not going to get the capital appreciation that you could elsewhere. Now, Midlands is pretty good. There's some strong areas there that they haven't gone crazy, like prices haven't gone absolutely through the roof, so they are affordable. And the North, the prices have been fairly static. There was some good increases. I mean, I've invested in Doncaster, but they're still very affordable. In Doncaster, for example, you only need 1.5 times the salary to be able to afford to buy a house, which means nearly everyone can afford to buy a house if they get their credit in order and have a job. So that's not going to crash. It's very unlikely that it's going to crash up in Doncaster. So is now good to buy? Well, yes, but no, like we said. So if you don't buy in the right area, then it's not going to be good. If you buy the wrong type of deal, then that's going to be difficult as well. So if I was flipping houses, which I don't do, I buy and renovate houses and keep them and hold them. And I hold them because I believe the best way to make yourself wealthy in property is to have capital appreciation. The asset going up in value over years will make you more money than selling it. But if I was to be a flipper, which there are tons of people that have made very good money in a rising market, I don't believe that's a good strategy right now. And that's because of the uncertainty, right? So right now you could buy a property, renovate it with the intention of selling it. But what if the market does drop 5%? For me, it's not the end of the world because all of my property, the minimum equity in there has got to be 25% because that's the deposit, right? So if it does go down 5% and I don't need to sell, I'll just wait until it goes back up. But if my sole intention is to sell that property, now that's a big chunk of the money gone, right? I might only be making like 15, 20% on selling it. Plus someone's going to start knocking me down on price because there are less people viewing properties. So flipping, I don't think, is a good strategy for now. Now, what can be a good strategy is some of the strategies where you don't actually own the asset. So for example, if you rented a property and then put it on Airbnb with the owner's permission as serviced accommodation, that's a good strategy because your rent is fixed and it doesn't matter if the market goes up or down. So that's a strategy that I would invest in, and I have some serviced accommodation in Tower Hill, so I wouldn't be a problem with that one. Another rent-to-rent option is where you rent a property and then rent each room out as a house of multiple occupancy. Again, you have to have the right contracts and training, and your landlord will have to know. It's not something that you can do without letting people know, and that's called rent to HMO. That's a strategy where, again, you're not putting big deposits down. I think that could work very well, whatever happens in the market. So yes, that would be a good investment strategy. But the number one strategy that I'm investing in, and it's kind of irrelevant what happens in the market, is where I buy, refurbish, refinance, rent, right? So I buy at auction, and that gives me a property that's below market value, right? So my last deal that I've just finished, which you've seen on this channel if you've been hanging around with us, is a property that I bought for 60 grand that's worth 100, right? It's not going to drop 40%, and definitely not in the north, right? So I'm pretty covered there. Now, also, I'm refurbishing it. Builders are getting cheaper at the moment. Everyone talks about builders being really expensive over the last few years, and they have been, but now there's less work around. Things are slowing down, so they're being more reasonable on their prices because they want jobs. So that's a consideration as well. And so I will refurbish my properties, and then I'll put new finance on that and pull out all of my money if I can. Now, what I expect to happen in the next year is that I won't continue to be able to get all of my money back out of the deals. I think the surveyors are going to downvalue properties. So rather than putting 25% in deposit, I might have to leave 5% in or 10%. You know what? That's still a very good deal, isn't it? So if I bought a 100 grand house on a buy to let, I'd have to put a 25 grand deposit in. But if I bought a 100 grand house for 60, did it up for 15, and didn't get all my money back out, so I had to leave in either 5 grand or 10 grand deposit because maybe it got downvalued, then it doesn't matter, right? Eventually that property is going to go back up in value, but I've still got a property for 5 grand or 10 grand rather than 25. It's going to kick out nice rent for me each and every year. So that's a very good strategy. Now, one other thing that you can invest in at the moment, that if the market does massively drop, is something called a lease option. And I've made a video on the channel about that. So go and check out that. But a lease option is where you secure the property at an agreed price today, and then you buy it in the future. So maybe you secure the property for £1 today, and you say, look, I'm going to buy this off you for 100 grand, but you complete on the transaction in 5 years or 7 years. That allows you time for the market to grow, and then you can get the property at any time in that 7 years. You can buy it earlier, and you can build some equity up in there. So lease options are very, very good in downturns. But even if the market crashes, so what happens if the market goes down 20%, 30%? Then houses are going to be cheaper, right? So houses are going to be significantly cheaper. Another real consideration that a lot of people aren't thinking about is, what if I buy a 100 grand house today, then the house goes down to 80, right? Now the presumption is that it's better to buy it at 80, but not always, right? Because what might happen is interest rates are rising. You know that because you watch the news, right? So the 100 grand house, you might have a mortgage rate that means that your interest payment is £200 a month. Now the 80 grand house, you might have, because the interest rates have now risen, even though you're borrowing less money, with the higher interest rates, you might be paying £250 a month. The rent isn't going to change, it's still going to be 575. You're just going to make less profit each month. So holding for a crash isn't always the right thing to do here, guys, because the interest rates are going to rise in that scenario. You might be better now to pay the higher price, hold. If you're holding property in the long term, you're always going to do good. But I'd rather hold at 100 grand with £200 a month than 80 grand at 250. I hope that makes sense. But I'd love to know what you think about this. Do you think it is the right time to buy? I know the comments are going to be really interesting on this one. So do comment below. Give this video a quick like, guys. It won't harm you. You'll get lots of help to me. And I want to know, we're considering running a free live event in London. Would you come? Would you be interested in coming to a free live event? If we can get at least 50 people that will come, we will run it. I'll pay for it. Comment below if you'd come to that. On the community tab on this YouTube channel, I've actually put a poll on there, and 78% of people are saying they would love to come to a free live event if I ran it. So do let us know about that. Do subscribe, as I said, to join us on the journey, and join our Facebook community. It's free, it's in the description. Come click in the link and check that out. I'm James Nicholson. Stay blessed. Go and check out this video right here.